Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Lemorack, and today I plan on taking another fantastic little nostalgia trip down memory lane to one of my favorite games of all time, The Last Express. This is a game that came out back in the 1990s. It was one of the first adventure games that I ever played alongside, games like Monkey Island and Titanic. It's a game that I have a lot of very fond memories of, and quite frankly, a unique piece of work in video game history. I struggle to think of a single game that does what Last Express tried to do back in the day, and honestly succeeded pretty well at. To give you a very brief summary of what this game is and what to expect from it, this is a point-and-click adventure game, but not quite like most point-and-click adventure games that you're used to. This is how impactful the game's art design is. So the art design of the game utilizes a technique known as rotoscoping, where they take shot actors, actual actors, and then have a computer program trace around them and color them out to give them kind of a comic book-esque look. The graphics can vary from still images to full-on, full motion animation. And essentially what this is a game with a very small world that operates in real time. Now, real time is sort of an exaggeration here, but the idea is that everything in the game world progresses, time runs, right? And certain things happen in the game world in certain times. And your progression through this game very much depends on being in the right place at the right time, discovering opportunities, and there's not necessarily a lot of choice making in the traditional sense. Like the game doesn't have a dialogue system. It's very much conversations or cutscenes, and you're an observer more than anything else. But there are choices in the sense of deciding where to be at what time, and which actions to take and which actions to ignore, which characters to interact with and not to interact with. And the game boasts a massive number of endings, 47 different endings if memory serves, but it's worth mentioning that most of those endings, in fact like 99% of them, 46 endings of those 47 are quote-unquote bad endings. There is only one true ending to the game in which the full plot of the game is resolved. But so there are 46 different ways that you can fail in this game. So yeah, that's pretty much enough said about the game itself. Also, I'm recording this I'm probably going to cut it out of the actual recording, but I'm recording this in DOSBox. This is as original of the game as it can get. I think I remember that there is some kind of like a golden edition on Steam that has a bunch of added tutorials, but yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. I'm going to try to recreate my memories of this game. I do remember most of what to do, but expect me to screw up every now and then and not remember. I mean, this game did come out in like either 1994 or 97. I can't remember which, but I think 97 is probably when it came out. But anyway, that's enough talk. Let's start a new game. Not sure what it means by continue, so I'm just gonna let's start a new one. Let's play the red game.
Mesdames et messieurs, votre attention s'il vous plaît. L'Orient Express à destination de Strasbourg, Munich, Vienne, Budapest, Belgrade, Sofia et Constantinople va partir. Les passagers sont priés de monter à bord des voitures. Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. The Orient Express is now leaving for Strasbourg, Munich, Vienna, Budapest, Belgrade, Sofia and Constantinople. All passengers should be on board.
En voiture, fermez les portières s'il vous plaît.
like to take a little moment to discuss what it is that we just saw, just because I didn't want to talk during the cutscene, but and I guess real time things happening in real time is a factor here. So I just decided to pause the game and now let's talk a little bit about that cutscene. If you go back and watch it again, then there are several things that you're going to notice. First of all, we're introduced to that blonde-haired gentleman in the green jacket at the very beginning of the game, and you might get the first impression that maybe this is the character we're going to play as, which is then at the end of that cutscene contradicted by the reveal of the real protagonist. But what do we notice about that scene? There's several important things that the game communicates to us during that introduction. Is first of all that individual is of some sort of importance, right? Because the camera spent most of its time focusing on him before the train left. He is obviously he's hanging off the edge of the car, looking around the platform. So he's obviously waiting for someone, right? For someone to arrive. And what does he notice? Well, he's looking at the clock, saying that, it's very close for the train to leave, and whoever he's waiting for hasn't arrived yet. And then another important thing to note is that as he looked up onto the balcony, you might remember those two gentlemen who are wearing sort of blue uniforms and kind of like raincoats on their back. Those were policemen. Those were French police. So the police, obviously have some reason to be there, and this immediately catches the guy's attention. And then as the train sort of pulls out, right, we see him kind of like exhale in what could be perceived as relief, right? Like maybe he was worried that those police were going to stop him for some reason. Or it could also be that he's like, well, whatever it was that I was waiting for didn't happen, so nothing to do now, let's just get back inside. And then we have our character who we don't know much about yet. We literally know nothing about him except for the fact that he apparently is probably very popular with women, I suppose, considering he got some up. And he's also, this is a very important fact, he got on board the train by taking a motorcycle. It's not the badassness of jumping off a moving motorcycle onto a train that's important here, but the fact that he did not board the train at the station. And this ties into the fact that, we saw policemen observing the scene at the Paris train station. So obviously this guy is running from the law for some reason, and now I think it's time we got into the game and discovered what that reason was. So before anything else happens, I'm going to immediately go over here, because noticing that woman leaving there at that point is important. We have the conductor here. Let's see what...
Excuse me. Can you tell me which compartment is Tyler Whitney's?
Oh, Monsieur Whitney, excuse me. Your compartment is number 1.
Okay, so what happened there, right, is that the guy... You're asking after somebody named Tyler Whitney. Guy looks at you, right, and he says, "Excuse me, Mr. Whitney," mistaking you, apparently, for the guy that you're asking after. In this area of the world, we're traveling on the Orient Express, right? This travels from Paris to Constantinople. Out here, you probably don't get a lot of Americans, so they're like, one American, they're all the same. So, now before we progress any further, I want to take a moment to sort of, describe our user interface. There's not a lot here. You probably noticed me, like, clicking the clock, right? And you navigate the world by moving your mouse around the screen, and the little arrows describe the type of movement you're about to take. This is like backing up, right? This is moving forward. This is turning around 180 degrees. This is turning around less than 180 degrees. Sometimes it's 90, sometimes it's less. And other than that, you have like one other icon up here. Subtitles are only going to appear, but I don't think there's an option for that. Subtitles only appear when foreign speech is involved. So let's take a little look at my inventory, right? I got a couple of things in it. Let's start by opening up this telegram. Cath, 6, he was living somewhere in Paris. Quai de Roland.
Cath, have come across something exceptional. More your line than mine. Depart Orient Express, 7 p.m. Friday, Gare de l'Est. You're the only one I can trust. Your pal, Tyler. P.S. Hope you're not still angry about what happened in Cuba.
That thing's gonna show up a couple more times, this whatever it was that happened in Cuba. So this is apparently the man that we were coming to meet. Your pal Tyler, right? This is the guy who he was asking after, Tyler Whitney. So this was the first little piece of background story that we have in our inventory, and then we also have this newspaper article. So let's read this. All Paris was on the lookout today for the man believed to have participated in the murder of Sergeant Matthew O'Connell in Belfast Monday night on the subsequent death of Mr. Gerald Riley. The fugitive, described as an American of medium height with brown hair and blue eyes, fled Ireland with Mr. Riley in the wake of an exchange of fire which left Sergeant O'Connell dead and Mr. Riley severely wounded. The fishing boat in which the men made their escape, initially presumed lost in Tuesday's storm, was found abandoned Wednesday morning on the coast of Brittany near the village of Cambrai. The subsequent discovery of the body of Mr. Riley in a nearby barn launched a countrywide search for his accomplice, who had eluded the French police for 2 days and is now believed to be in the vicinity of Paris. The brutal killing of Sergeant O'Connell occurred in the shadow of the Conference of Party Leaders, which meets again today for the 4th time in Buckingham Palace. It is to be hoped that an agreement will be reached by which future bloodshed and civil strife in Ireland may be prevented. Anyone who may have seen a man fitting above description or who has information on his whereabouts is urged to contact the police immediately. So this is all that we know about our character, right? The description matches here. A man of medium height with brown hair. That's our guy. So apparently we were involved somehow in the murder of a police sergeant, some kind of law officer in England, and we had an accomplice who was then also later found dead. So this is the reason that they were looking for us around Paris. This is the reason that we were avoiding the train station, right? And the reason we got on the train after it left the station. So now, as we were told, number 1 is the compartment that we're supposed to look for. No answer. Probably not ominous, right? Let's go meet our friend.
Tyler.
Well, shoot. Looks like Tyler is dead. So, just to sort of, show you the fact that, yeah, there are a bunch of different ways that this story can end. You can, of course, immediately do, I suppose, what a smart person would do, right? Which is pull the emergency brake.
It took the police 20 minutes to discover who'd pulled the alarm. It turned out he wasn't a passenger at all, but a fugitive who'd boarded the train in Paris. At any rate, they got him.
End of story. And then the clock rewinds to before we made that decision, right? So this is something you can do. Another thing, this is the reason that you don't just, tell people that, hey, there's a dead person in this cabin, is because then you're like, yeah, that sucks. Wait a minute, who are you? Are you supposed to be on this train? Here, maybe this police officer can help. And then similarly, I imagine double-clicking will move you all along the corridor. I imagine, I've never actually tried this,
Excuse me, monsieur, but this is the last sleeping car. If you are looking for the dining car, it is 2 cars forward.
I thought I'd just take a walk to the end of the train. There is another car after this one, isn't there?
Yes, but it is a private car. Je suis désolé, monsieur.
And the reason that I did that was not to go to the other car, but I wanted to talk to the conductor.
Bonsoir, monsieur.
Yeah, it's funny how he said that I can't go that way, and now I can just go that way. So yeah. Warning the conductor was really the first thought that I had, but yeah, so that's not something that you can do. You can't do that because you're gonna end up tossed into prison for being a fugitive. So the question is, what do we do with Tyler? Well, there are several different courses that you can take at this point, right? Probably the first thing that most people will do, and the first thing that I did when I first played the game, was, well, just throw him out the window, right? Which you can do. Right? If I pick him up, and I toss him out, that's something that I can't do. Now, however, because I am doing a little bit of a, of a walkthrough-esque playthrough right now, the reason that you don't want to do this is because you saw him roll along the street. Well, guess what else? So did other passengers on the train. So this is not a good solution to do. Fortunately, you can just rewind at any point in the game. You can't fast forward, but you can rewind to decisions.
Excuse me, monsieur,
Yes,
but
yes.
this is the last sleeping car. If you...
It is possible to skip this. So, let's get back inside. And now here's what you're actually supposed to do. For now, that noise, that was signifying that my point of no return has arrived. Like, this is the spot where I was when I last rewound. So if I wanted to, go back and fast forward, that was my last chance to do it. So, fortunately, this luxury train has, these cute little beds that you can make for yourself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Tyler's body, and for now, I am going to hide it in the bed. Not sure if this would work in real life, like it feels like that shouldn't be able to fit, but for now this is going to have to do. Let's just hope that nobody who comes into this cabin will ever look down, because that would kind of suck. Now, another thing that's a problem is that, as you might have seen from the cutscene previously when I tossed him out the window, I am also now covered in blood. So if I were to...
Excusez-moi, monsieur. What's that on your jacket?
Excuse me?
Mais c'est du sang.
We saw a man in a blood-stained jacket being taken off the train by 2 policemen. Apparently, he'd killed another passenger, a Mr. Tyler Whitney. The train went on without him.
And again, end of story. So those 47 endings, most of them are just like this. They're you failing. So yeah, obviously we can't go out wearing this bloody jacket, so let's just go ahead and take Tyler's jacket. That annoying sound to go away before I continue. Okay. So, now this is the point that is kind of the reason that this game, I think, is so hard to pick up for modern audiences. Why the Golden Edition chocked the game full of notifications and extra text is because you're probably noticing, I know what I'm doing because I played this game before, but you're not given a lot of direction here. You're not told what is happening. You're not told what your objective is. So really, like, at this point, I suppose, this guy having been my friend, obviously what I want to do is I want to figure out what the hell happened to him. So, I look around his cabin, discover this empty case of something that was supposed to be in here, apparently. Ominous.
Excusez-moi, monsieur, c'est le conducteur.
Oh, somebody's knocking on my door.
Yes?
Excuse me, Monsieur Whitney. Herr Schmidt is waiting for you in the restaurant car. Shall I bring him a message?
I'll be right there.
Very good, monsieur.
So you'll notice again, I didn't have any input over that dialogue except to initiate it. Now, I'm apparently Tyler was expected by a man named Herr Schmidt, obviously either German or Austrian, right? And before I go meet him, I'm going to look around this cabin quickly. Yeah, that scarf is probably going to be important later on. Also, because this was Tyler's jacket, I also have a box of matches now, for whatever reason. And the last thing I want to do before I go anywhere is I want to take a look at Tyler's backpack. Tyler's suitcase, see if there's anything of importance here. This is apparently my response to his...
I accept. Need to get out of town for a while anyway. Book double compartment in your own name. Don't mention mine. Maybe a little late. I'll meet you on the train. Kath. P.S. Still angry about Cuba.
Kath. That is who I am. Robert Kath. Now here is another interesting little piece of something. It's a pretty little scroll with what looks like some kind of bird and a lady and text in Cyrillic. I don't, in real life, speak Russian, and neither does my character, so we don't know what is written on this. I mean, he speaks it, I'm sorry, but he doesn't apparently read it. So, I suppose, only thing to do now is go
Ah, je vous jure, les jeunes d'aujourd'hui, on se demande bien ce que ça deviendra.
Oh, hang on.
Attends une seconde. Fais voir ce que toi.
Ooh.
Je l'ai trouvé. Il est à moi.
Sir? He's got that whistle
Bonsoir, monsieur.
down there.
Pardon me?
And, yeah, the reason that it focused on that so much is because you might remember in that case that we had, right? There was a big egg-shaped spot, a small egg-shaped spot, and that object looks like it would have fit in there, wouldn't it? Anyway, so we have to look around. Not a lot of people in here, but I can talk to this guy.
Ah, Herr Whitney. You are different than I had imagined.
Sorry to keep you waiting. I ran across an old friend.
One does have the most unexpected encounters on trains. Shall we get down to business? Have you brought the gold? First you kept me waiting, now you don't answer me. I have kept my half of the bargain. If something has gone wrong, I would like to know it.
Nothing has gone wrong.
I'm glad. I trust that you will not mind if I asked to see the gold.
I trust you won't mind either if I ask to see what I'm buying.
To see it? But you know that is impossible. The merchandise will be put on the train at Munich. It is what we agreed.
Good. Then we're even. Herr Schmidt, it's been a pleasure. We'll talk again after Munich.
Oh, so much for that, I guess. So, what did we find out from that? Apparently Tyler was in the middle of... Oh, hello.
Bonsoir, monsieur. We have a nice table for you here in the corner. If you will please follow me.
Oh, sure.
Please, monsieur. Have a seat.
Thank you. So, apparently Tyler had some sort of business deal in negotiation with this, apparently, Herr Schmidt. We don't know who he is. We don't know what he's selling. All we know is that he calls it his merchandise, right? And that it's going to be loaded on the train in Munich. Now, to give you a brief idea, we have just left Paris, right? And then we're going to be crossing through Paris, the French-German border, and then Munich is at the southern border of Bavaria. So we still have some time before that happens. And apparently we've bought ourselves some time to find out what exactly is going on until that comes about. So yeah, that's pretty much the plot so far. And then, you know, at this point... Well, hello. Didn't I see you snooping around?
Madame, welcome.
Good evening.
Madame, this present is a great honor for us. Your usual table is ready. If Madame will permit me.
Thank you.
If I may say so, Madame is like a shining star, and we are all basking in her light. I am your soul.
Thank you, Pascal.
Enjoy your dinner, Madame.
So she's apparently a woman of some importance, and now... Oh, and look, I can talk to her. She was, I deliberately made a point of rushing out towards the cabin before I started looking at stuff in my inventory, right? Because she was there. And I picked up the scarf. Kind of matches the color palette, right?
Avez-vous fait votre choix?
Yes. I'll have the beef fillet.
Le filet de bœuf jardinière.
The
Very
subtitles relate
Is
to
Madame
this
dining
conversation
alone?
Yes.
Very good,
of
Madame.
a lady and her grandfather, apparently from Russia. Now, let's wait till she's done ordering, and then let's check out who she is.
Mind if I join you?
That's bold. Is it customary in America to be so forward?
In certain circles, it's not unheard of.
I must have been moving in the wrong circles. I hope you find somewhere to sit.
As somebody who lives in Hungary, I just want to point out that that Hungarian accent is beautiful. Oh, but look at this. I can show her. Notice how my cursor changes.
Does Monsieur wish to order dinner?
Yes, I will have the roast duck and a
Just
bottle
ordering
of
food.
96
So my cursor changes
Very good,
based
monsieur.
on what the interaction is related to, right?
Excuse me, I think you dropped this.
It's not mine.
My mistake. I wonder whose it is.
Yeah, he was trying to let her know, I think, that, yeah, I know you were there. I know it was you. Don't pretend. But I can do it again, I think. No, I can't. I seem to remember I was able to do that again last time. Anyway, all he does is he pretty much just repeats, "Are you sure this isn't your scarf?" And she replies, "Quite sure." Anyway, more stuff happens out here eventually, I think. But there isn't really much to do except just kind of... Is that guy here the whole time? don't seem to remember that guy being here a minute ago. Because there's a conversation that happens with him that I missed, I think, because I spent so much time sitting around in Tyler's cabin. But yeah. So this is, aside from the fact that there is not a lot of direction in this game given to the player, there is also a lot of downtime, throughout which there is not really a lot that you can do. You just kind of wander around aimlessly, overhearing conversations. Toy whistle, how can it die? It's dead. There they are. That's the boy who found the whistle. Apparently, the whistle has died, whatever that means. And we have another compartment with two ladies traveling together.
Pardon me?
Got the boy and his family apparently going to dinner as well.
Excusez-moi.
Sure. There's a place here that I can sit down.
Excusez-moi, monsieur.
Pardon me.
Pardon.
If somebody's occupying the same space, then you get that little interaction. Okay, can I just... we can look at this clock, see what time it is. There we go. There is a newspaper around here somewhere that you can read. There it is. Okay. There's a lot to read here, and luckily it's all in English. A lot of this, I think, is really just fluff involving...
Deuxième service. Le dîner est servi dans le wagon-restaurant. Dinner is served in the restaurant car.
I have never actually held like a real newspaper in my hand, I think. So I'm just going to browse through this as the way I think newspapers are supposed to just glance at the headlines. This is all before the internet. Alarmist rumors from Mexico. It's the Mexican Revolution occurring around there. Ringleaders arrested by police. Men locked. Masters. This is 1914, remember, so we're July of 1914, so we're like a few months before the we're very, very close to the months. We're we're very close to World War I, is what I'm trying to say. New Phase of Festival. Wagner at Bayreuth, I think. De Vliegende Hollander. Flying Dutchman. American Dilemmas, sequel to Panama Canal Policy. Dramatic confrontation, lost letters in court handed to the defense. Austrian pressure on Serbia. This was the sparking incident, right? The murder of Austrian... what's his name? Franz Ferdinand, who was next guy in line for the throne, right? Okay, here's another thing. I can interact with this guy, who, if I had spent time earlier, I would have found out that he's a Russian, anti-bourgeois individual.
Excuse me. Could you tell me what this paper says?
It's a Russian fairy tale for children.
Could you translate it for me?
Do you know what a fairy tale is? It's one of the ways the exploiters make the people forget that they're enslaved. For 100 years, Russian peasants have told their children this story of a hero who plucks the tail feather from a firebird. Child goes to bed with an empty stomach and dreams of a hero who will never come.
Sorry I asked.
Yeah. Guy's not apparently a big fan of escapist literature. But yeah, so that guy is, obviously he's a Russian anti-Tsar. At this period in history, remember, Russia is still a feudal state. The Tsar is still in power, where before the Russian Revolution of 1917... Oh, the dude and his granddaughter's gone already?
Are you sure this isn't your scarf?
There we go.
Quite sure.
Oh yes, this is a scene that we're supposed to be observing. So I'm just gonna sit here, stand here quietly in the corner, and wait for the cutscene to occur. Come on. Any second now.
Василий Александрович.
Дедушка.
Василий Александрович, меня зовут Алексей Дольников. Вы, кажется, знавали моего батюшку.
Да, знавал я одного Дольникова, Петра Николаевича. Хороший был человек, набожный. Сын у него был. Опозорил и отца, и всю семью свою. Пойдем, внученька. Устал я малость.
Vasily Alexandrovich, how many thousands have you condemned to prison and torture in the name of your piety? Или вы счет потеряли?
Well, I think you made a pretty good first impression.
From the cutscene that we missed earlier, where I could have sat down to that guy with, for a bowl of soup.
Excuse me, Fräulein Wolf?
We get the impression that he has some involvement with the guy's granddaughter.
I'm sure you do not remember me. My name is August Schmidt.
But I do remember you. It was at Mrs. Lauder's in London, wasn't it?
Yes. You played Brahms' violin concerto.
How lovely of you to remember. And you were with an English woman. Was she your wife?
Oh shit,
yes, that is a...
Hang on, will it still occur?
Forgive me for interrupting your dinner. May I...
Okay, hang on, let me rewind that a bit. Alright. Because this is important, right?
Well, I think you made a pretty good first impression.
This is an important moment that I missed by not clicking there. So, Herr Schmidt gets up, right? And then we're gonna get that annoying sound in a minute.
Excuse me, Fräulein Wolf? I could not leave the room without paying you my compliments. I'm sure you do not remember me.
Does bring
my
me
name
here
is
anyway.
August Schmidt.
But I do remember you.
I thought this
it
happened
was at
automatically.
Mrs. Lauder's in London, wasn't it?
Yes. You played Brahms' violin concerto.
How lovely of you to remember. And you were with an English woman. Was she your wife?
Yes, that is, Miss Wolf. May I present my colleague from America, Mr. Tyler Whitney? Herr Whitney? Miss Anna Wolf.
I'm sorry. I didn't catch the name.
Tyler Whitney. Have we met before?
I seem to remember hearing of a Mr. Whitney years ago in New York. You were trying to raise money to start a revolution in Cuba, isn't that right?
Mexico, and it wasn't me. It must have been someplace else that we met.
Herr Whitney is well known as a champion of freedom and justice in countries other than his own. But please, don't let us interrupt your dinner.
Not at all. You're both very kind. One does get so bored on these long journeys. Good evening.
A beautiful woman.
Is she?
And a brilliant performer. To look at her, you would never think she was Jewish. Until Munich, sir.
Indeed, until Munich. So, that was an interesting little cutscene, wasn't it? So, apparently, this served as not just, interacting with the passengers, but learning a little bit about the character that we're impersonating right now. Tyler Whitney was apparently something of a revolutionary and a freedom fighter. He was raising, you remember we may have, we checked that newspaper a while ago, it said something about a Mexican revolution. Apparently, Tyler Whitney had something to do with that by, raising money for it. And, yeah, so this is apparently the guy's MO, is doing this sort of thing. Now, there is one more event that is supposed to take place in this day, so I'll head back to my compartment. And just kind of hang out there until stuff happens.
Pardon me?
Gentlemen. Oh, here's... So apparently this guy is something of an artist. Which is interesting. And... yeah. I'm just gonna hang out here for a second. So that, again, back to the cutscene with Anna Wolf. Hearing the name Tyler Whitney obviously affected her. Right? You could tell that for some reason that... Ooh.
Who is it?
It's Miller. Let me in.
Oh, hello.
Don't bother to knock. Just walk right in. Everyone else does.
He knocks.
Who are you?
This is my compartment. Who are you?
This is Tyler Whitney's compartment. Where is Tyler?
Oops.
Ubica!
Alright, fight mechanics. Here we go. Whoa. It's just click, basically. You gotta... Here, I'll show you one of the death scenes. Basically, this is it. I don't know if this counts as one of the game's endings, but, you can just continue from where you left off. So he does 2 attacks. Usually he'll just, go for the gut. But he can also sometimes... can also sometimes go for the head, which I actually messed up this time. That was not deliberate, and I wasn't showing you the death scene there, but I think there are a total of 5 fight scenes in this game, and they're all kind of like this, where you just point and click at him. Alright, come on. Oh, gotcha! The hand icon appeared for a second there.
As I was about to say, I didn't kill him.
Who are you?
My name is Robert Cath.
So you are Cath? Tyler spoke of you. He was afraid you were angry with him.
He shouldn't have worried. That was a long time ago. You better tell me what's going on. Tyler had a meeting with someone named August Schmidt. What was that about?
Where's the gold?
What gold? I saw a wooden box in a hell of a mess.
Then we are lost. How can I tell this to the general? Oh, I must tell to the others.
What general? What were you and Tyler mixed up in?
You must tell no one about this. No one.
Not even the train conductor?
You've been warned. Sinaruka, the Black Hand.
So, as someone with a little bit of history knowledge from this period, that guy was Serbian. Black Hand was a Serbian resistance group who were fighting against Austrian oppression at the time. So, we've learned a little bit more about the person that we're impersonating, right? About Tyler. So he was involved with these Serbians. The guy came looking for him, and apparently he knew him personally because he looked right at me and said, "Yeah, you're not Tyler. Where's Tyler?" And his first response when, he hears that we're on his side, he's like, "Where's the gold?"
Yes,
there was supposed to be gold here. And that, you can pretty easily tie that into the fact that there's this guy, Schmidt, who has some merchandise that he wants to sell us. So it looks like we figured, okay, now I gotta talk to this guy.
Excusez-moi, monsieur. Ah, Monsieur Whitney, excusez-moi. His Excellency wishes to receive you in his private car.
His Excellency.
Yes, monsieur. He's waiting for you.
Interesting. Wait.
Just a minute.
Yes, monsieur?
Don't bother making up the bed. I'll find it easier to sleep if you just leave it as it is.
Ah, monsieur, you will be surprised at how comfortable our beds are. Many people who say they never sleep on trains find that...
I told you to leave it.
Of course, monsieur. It's as you wish. Have a pleasant night, monsieur.
There's no need to be rude to the guy who's just doing his job. But yeah, I am hiding a corpse in there, so while he's occupied, I'll just steal the passenger list. Sir?
Le train entre en gare d'Épernay. Épernay, 5 minutes d'arrêt.
The guy is reading a magazine. I have the passenger list now in case I ever need that. So, the private car that was being talked about. Let's do this interaction too before I end the episode, because I think I've been playing for long enough now. This is how we're gonna end.
It seems I've been sent for by someone named His Excellency. That wouldn't be you, would it?
That is very clearly a woman. Ooh. Ominous. So, shall we take a look around? He's got a piano, he's got some modern art. It's like,
What an unexpected pleasure.
Where do you come from?
Mr. Robert Cath.
Usually people call me Tyler Whitney.
You should take care when choosing a name for yourself. Names have power. The most primitive cultures understood this, but of course it will be as you prefer.
Not everyone has the luxury of choosing his own name, Mr.
Kronos. Whether you are Cath or Whitney is a matter of indifference to me. I am prepared to continue the discussions begun by my agent in Paris, provided that you have the peace of which you spoke.
Is Kronos your first name or your last name?
I have no time to continue these delightful discussions of names. I have brought with me a rather heavy briefcase. I would like to know now if the proposed exchange interests you, and if you are capable of completing it.
Not just at the moment, but I have hopes of being able to do so.
In that case, we have nothing further to discuss. I myself must leave the train in Vienna. In case we do not see each other again, I wish you a pleasant journey to Istanbul, and continued success in evading the British and French authorities. Have a pleasant evening, Mr. Cath. Kahina will show you out.
Intriguing. So, this is a part of the game that I honestly, to this day, don't quite understand. Apparently, right, just because
It's the conductor to make your bed, monsieur.
Wait a minute.
Pardon me?
As the player, oops, no, I didn't mean to.
Bonsoir, monsieur.
Didn't mean to go that far. I, as the player, don't know much about Robert Cath's past, but apparently he was prepared to make an exchange with whoever that guy was. So it's possible that Cath knows a little bit more about what was going on here than we as players know. And of course I know more because I've completed the game several times already.
Merci, monsieur. Excusez-moi de vous avoir dérangé.
Because I've already stopped the conductor, he's not going to come here and open the bed. I never let him open it, but I'm curious what would have happened, because if you don't, they just walk right into your cabin and prepare your bed for you in the evening. Nope. Train's coming to a stop. I believe this is not Strasbourg yet. We're in, yeah, Epernay. So just as kind of a what if, yep, Epernay, 9:16 p.m. What would have happened if I had tossed Tyler out the window previously? Then the body would have been found next to the tracks. The police would have been alerted, and they would be here right now. They would be on this train searching for passengers. So what I would have to do is, while they were on board, right, they get on board here, and then they get off at the next station. So while they're on board, I have to climb. Oh, I can actually do it. Seems pretty suicidal, right? But just hope that guy doesn't look out the window. So I'm supposed to just kind of hang out here until the police go away. Now, however, since the police are not on board because they have not been alerted by the body, I can just kind of hang out without having to worry about that. Now, I'm also not entirely sure when I was supposed to do this, but I'm going to see if I can end the day before I end the episode. And if this doesn't work, then I'll just... Oh, right, I'm supposed to here. Wait here a moment. Don't go anywhere. There you go. Obviously, I can't open the door with my hands full, right? Yeah. So this was the point of waiting, right? Pretty much after Epernay, I think, no matter where you toss Tyler out the window, he will fall into that bridge. So now we're pretty much out in the clear. Can I make my bed now? Would you feel comfortable sleeping in a bed that held a corpse just a couple minutes ago? I'm not sure I would. Okay, and there's apparently not yet time for bed. The prompt hasn't appeared. So I'm just going to end the episode here. Thank you very much for watching. And yeah, I intend to finish this playthrough entirely in kind of a walkthrough and commentary style. So thank you very much again for being here, and I will see you